The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv, the beginning of a new week. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
And you're back. We missed you.
Yeah. Well, the trip to Boston was infuriating as usual. The traffic. Another example of government at its most inept. The Big Dig, the most expensive public project ever undertaken, because the pyramids didn't cost the Egyptians anything, because they had slave labor. But
well, so does Massachusetts at times.
But it did absolutely no good. As a matter of fact, it made things worse.
Right.
You know, the only thing they could do is like flatten Boston and widen the roads, because they were made when they used to ride horses. So the roads just don't support the traffic, so it's always a disaster going.
Well, I mean, just look at 24. Yeah. 24 doesn't support the traffic. It's 2 lanes, and it's
yeah, anymore. Years ago, once you got out of Boston, you got to 24, you were fine.
Yeah.
But now you hit 24, it's just like being in Boston.
Exactly. You're all clogged up because it's got it's squeezing 4 lanes of traffic into 2.
Yeah. They're coming off 128. They're coming off 93, and everybody hit 495 down in the middle. Too many cars. Don't worry. Soon we'll have electric cars. Nobody can afford them. Everybody will be doing what Bloomberg said. Everybody will be taking a bus.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Commonwealth Magazine today came out with an article trying to sell, this is what it says, trying to sell electric heating in New England. Because the governor wants to do away with all carbon-based utilities. So that would get rid of natural gas. Now here's the problem. Where do they think all this electric's coming from?
Yeah. And the other issue with that is, you know, I don't know, maybe because they got half of these wokies in college and they convince them to not pay attention to reality. You know what's going to happen when they transition everybody to electricity? The price of electricity is going to go up.
Of course.
Because they're going to become trillionaires, not billionaires, because they'll have a monopoly on energy, and they can charge anything they want, because there are not a lot of electric homes in New England because of the weather. And we all know that. It's the most expensive method of heating right now. And electricity isn't as expensive as it will be when it's the primary source. So again, they're conning the people. You know, as usual, they lie and they misrepresent everything.
You know, it's also one of those things, because now that they're pushing the electric cars, and I actually saw one. You ready for this?
Oh God!
For $23,000. I almost had a heart attack.
What is it like?
It's a Volkswagen.
Oh, I was going to say, it's got to be like the size of a, but it does.
It's the size of a rutabaga.
What was the? I see them. They're like the old European cars. They have in those movies. They're like barely can fit 2 people in there.
Right.
But those do serve double duty. If you get into a car accident, you don't have to buy a casket that you can just bury you in it, because it's small. They just stick you in the ground in the car.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, look, this whole thing is just ludicrous.
Well, I have a problem with it, because when I travel to see my daughter, which is in Pennsylvania, if I'm operating on an electric car, do you know how many times I've got to stop for a couple of hours each time to recharge that car?
Well, the Pennsylvania Turnpike's 300 miles long.
Exactly.
Just going from the eastern border to the western border is a 300-mile trip on Route 80.
Right.
So I know, I've done it many times.
So have I.
It's 300 miles, just that one. So you're dead, and you can't wait till the last minute either with those things.
Right.
So you've got to charge, you got to blow another hour or 2 charging that thing up again, just to get across Pennsylvania. How about going across Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, to get to Pennsylvania.
And remember, that's you're going to get good mileage. That's if you don't have traffic jams.
Yeah.
Which we know in New York.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, try to get through New York, during a day.
On one charge.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Look, the whole thing is ridiculous, and we know that.
One of the reports I read over the weekend is that the infrastructure currently in place in the United States, not just New England, but in the United States, cannot handle the addition of electric cars because the charging apparatus, number one, it costs $7,000 to put in one charging apparatus. So if you have one car, you need one charging apparatus. And if you don't have a garage, where the hell are you going to put it? Put it in your yard, everyone's going to use it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, as it is, there's two of them down at Burger King on the Avenue. I never see anyone use it. There's a few here at BCC, and I see one car in it every day. Plugged in.
I know, and it's silver. I won't say the make and model, but it is a silver one, and it's there every single day I come here.
Every day.
And I'm here every day, whether I'm had a show or not, to walk the dog. So.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, does it even leave?
Well, that one thing about it, they know they can get at least 300 miles.
Exactly.
Because that vehicle is all. Well, look, even our boy Brandon Biden, they're conning everybody. And I loved it because they showed a part of his speech, and we talked about how we want wind here. Everybody hates it. They're ugly. They kill birds. They're inefficient in a climate like this. And even Brandon said he was upset because he wants electric. And he said, all you people in Nantucket that don't like it and say they're ugly, get over it. We don't care if you think they're ugly. We don't care if you think they're inefficient. Shut up. Let us make millions of dollars because we invested in green energy, and we won't have any of those things near our house. And we'll be driving around with cars that are fueled with fossil fuel. Because I can tell you right now, they're not running Air Force One on electricity.
And they're not running all of those big black vehicles.
Limos, the big limos that they go in a caravan.
On electricity either.
Yeah.
So
just like John Kerry, the climate imbecile, czar, but driving around in his private plane, you're polluting the world, and then telling everybody how we have to unpollute the world. Get over it, you climate psychos. We had something called the Ice Age, and they recovered from that. The world runs in cycles. There are a lot of climatologists are saying this is much to do about nothing, and I tend to believe them. But hey, that's the way it is. You want to drive your electric roller skate, go ahead. I will go kicking and screaming. You will never, But then again, like I said, this is what they want. This is what the richy rich want. They want you to be relegated to public transportation, waiting for a bus, not being able to go on vacation because you have to go take an electric train somewhere, while they do anything they want. Like Bloomberg said, take a bus, eat lentils, and let your dog die. You're
like
poor.
lentils.
You're poor. I love lentils, but that's not. I don't want to live on them though. I want to have a nice, thick, juicy filet mignon every once in a while.
cooked on a grill.
Yeah.
Which is carbon-based.
and medium, too.
That's right.
Yeah, we're not going to overcook that baby and ruin it. But we want to do, it has to be medium or medium rare. It always kills me to watch people order things well done. As a matter of fact, at really quality steakhouses,
They won't do it.
they won't do it. It's on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
If you order a steak well done in a prime steakhouse, I'm not talking about, the corner chain. I'm talking about if you go to something like Peter Luger's, which is the best steakhouse in the world in New York. You order a steak, you go to any steakhouse, Abe and Louie's in Boston, Peter Luger's, it's on the menu. If you order a steak well done, they're not responsible. You can't send it back. You can't do anything. You don't like it because it tastes like your sneaker. It's on you because you ruin the steak.
Yeah.
You take all the juice, all the flavor out of it. You just incinerate it.
You make charcoal.
I'll give you a tip. Instead of spending that kind of money on a prime steak, eat a charcoal briquette.
Exactly. Hey, STAR got the brothers again.
Oh, boy, that really hurts.
Fourth bid.
Yeah.
Fourth time to try to build a detox center down on Weaver Street.
Yeah,
And they
but-
still got shot
And
down.
what part of the city is Weaver Street?
The north end.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The north end.
Of course. Yeah,
So,
it's not in my neighborhood.
Exactly.
Not in my backyard.
Our building inspector, Glenn Hathaway, was happy that the zoning board, 3-2, said no. I can't believe it was 3-2.
Well,
I really can't. But at least it was 3-2.
are the two that voted for it driving around in new electric cars?
Maybe.
Just a question. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But the new president or CEO of STAR, because it's no longer Nancy Paul, you know, she retired finally.
Really?
Yes, she finally retired.
To a palatial estate somewhere, no doubt.
Probably. The new STAR CEO is Sherry A. Ellis, and she was present at the hearing. And she said, recovery from addiction is a relearning on how to live. Because they're trying to use the Dover Amendment to get this through, which means that if it's an educational facility, they are exempt from zoning. And they keep saying they're educational. You can't be educational and be healthcare.
No.
Because all healthcare is also educational.
Yeah.
But healthcare has its own separate designation.
Yep.
So,
And you would know that.
Yes,
because
I
You
would.
have the credentials.
Yep. Well-
you are the PhD, the doctor nurse.
the piled high and deep.
That's it. But they'll try anything. Look, they're going to try anything because it's a moneymaker. Everybody knows that.
Right.
Let's remember about drugs. Remember back in the 70s, we had the this is your brain on drugs with the thing being the fried egg in a pan. All the programs, the billions and billions and billions of dollars we had trying to educate and stop drug trafficking, and now we look at it, it's worse than ever. So what did they do? The light lit in somebody's brain. They said, you know something? If we stop this stuff, we're losing billions of dollars. Look at imagine all the rehabs we'll put out of business. Imagine all the drug dealers we're going to make poor that give us campaign contributions. Hey, let's just call it a disease and throw money at it. That's what the government does best. Throw money at everything. You got a problem? Throw money.
Electric cars is a disease. I think.
That's right.
And they are throwing money at it. So
That's
there.
right. And 50 Mercs are the cure. You know?
That's it. That's what it is. Hey, John Perry, as you know, we brought it up last week.
And you brought it up in a
Suspended.
weekend flush, which I have to
Yep.
get to because I got a couple of calls on your flush.
Of course. Why do they call you on? Why did they call me?
They probably didn't have your number. So,
They got my email address. It's right on the flush.
yeah, they don't want to email me.
Yeah, I know. So Seth Atkins, who is the city administrator, who is also an attorney. Let's make sure we put that out there as well. He's also an attorney. He's been says that John Perry has been placed on leave pending an investigation into concerns we have about several recent incidents in DCM. Aikens said an outside private investigator is assisting with the investigation. Cha-ching. The plan is to regroup with Perry on May 3rd, where they're going to turn around and tell him you're fired.
Regroup.
Yeah.
That's quite the little semantic turn.
Right.
Turn of
Exactly.
I mean, it's not exactly what I would say in an adversarial hearing. But
I believe.
Regroup?
Yeah, I know. I believe they're going to terminate him on the 3rd.
well,
But
does that mean the people who what he allegedly did things for have enough power to go? Let's just make this go away and he gets
Maybe.
rehired. So
Maybe.
there's always another option there.
And Aikens believes that the investigation can occur within 2 weeks. Now, here's the interesting thing. Perry has said, Aikens has said that he's asked DCM staff of the recent developments on Wednesday. They understand, quote, they understand they will have the opportunity to talk to the investigator or not. The interest of the administration is to understand how we can create efficiency and improvements and working conditions and the culture of DCM. They've been assured that anything they say will not have any repercussions on them or their employment.
You think they really believe that?
I know they don't believe that.
You know they don't believe that.
Right, they don't believe that. So what's interesting is that I guess somebody's already come forward a little bit, and they say that they think this may have a source with connections to public works. Says it may involve a possible incident at the DCM barn on Lewiston Street that was not reported, and inaccurate paperwork associated with the snowstorm this past winter. Again with snowstorms, snow budgets. It's always a snow budget.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, he testified to that in court too.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, everybody's already gotten political amnesia about that.
Exactly.
He testified to that on court. But listen, there are all kinds of rumors. We can't, you know, they're rumors, so we're not going to really. But there are all kinds of other things going along with him. And if I remember correctly, a few years ago, before he became the director, there was a letter sent to all the city councilors about him. Was there not?
Yeah, I believe so.
And I think I saw a copy of that letter. And I guess he's been followed around with controversy for a while. So we'll see what happens with this. But the process obviously is not going to the civil service methodology. They're using a different source. They're not going by the civil service regulations of 41 through 45 to 31. But you know, which brings me to another one where they're not going to, we'll get into your, if we got nothing, we can go. I got a few calls about your weekend flush, about the 3% raise. I was actually checked it with the city councilor too. She said she does not recall that being said. The individual who said it, who was attributed, said she did not say that. What she did say, and I remember this being said at one time because we looked it up and we actually went over it. She said that they do get cost of living increases every year based on the CPI, and that they're from 0 to a very small percentage. And that's what she said, and that is true. However, it's kind of, as usual, not really clear to the average person. They say 0 to a very small percentage. That's because during the period they're doing that, there's not much inflation. That's why it's like 1.8%, 2.5. I went through the whole thing. I looked it up last night, but I got other stuff to deal with. But you know, but even that 2%, I think the high was 2.5, but 2.5% pay raise on $140,000 salary is not a bad little pay raise added to your already salary, which now, when you get a pay raise, will now be if you get a percentage pay raise, it will be added to an expanded base, and your next year's base will be a percentage of the increased base, which creates a multiplier principle, which gives you more money.
Right.
More money for the people who get appointed. And there's one thing I want to hit before you. I know you want to speak to this, but there was also things about talking about past practice. Let me tell you something. They don't have past practice. It's not, they cannot say, well, that was the way we've always done it, and we can't do anything about it. Well, you can even do something about a past practice. I brought this just for you. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but you see this? This is the guide to the Massachusetts Public Employee Collective Bargaining Law. It's not small. It's a Bible. And that's not all the statutes. It's just explaining what they determine and a small explanation. You can't get this anymore. The state's too cheap to put it in a binder like this now. It comes, if you want one of these and you really want to know what you're talking about, go to the State House bookstore. They have it in paperback now. It's not in this nice little folder. But past practices are reserved for non-managerial personnel and collective bargaining units normally. So let me quickly explain what a past practice is. A past practice is something that's done for a long period of time without deviation, It is understood and agreed to by both management and the union. That's the fundamentals. There's a couple other little, there's a couple of other little things. We don't want to get started. But it's been done for a long time. It's understood by both. There are levels of that. You can enter into a practice that isn't in your contract, and then you can go to an arbitrator and say, well, this is a past practice. Then they'll tell you, well, put it in your contract next time. But there's also past practices which actually violate contract language, that they make side agreements on their own without putting it in writing, and then they say, well, we've been doing this for a long time. And
that never happens in Fall River.
And the reality is that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
Okay? And if you go, people go, well, it does supersede it if you can prove it. Well, let me explain something to you people who have never bargained this stuff or never gone in front of an arbitrator trying to establish a past practice. The most difficult past practice you can ever get is one that supersedes contract language. You better be able to prove that that everybody in management agreed and everybody in the process was aware. And that's difficult, let me tell you. And there's also, in virtually every contract, what they call a stability of clause agreement, which says that anything in this contract or any other thing that affects the people who enter this contract cannot be overridden because of lack of performance. In other words, you didn't enforce it. So once you say we're going to go to the stability of clause agreement, you say we're going to begin to enforce this now. And that's viable. There's a stability of clause agreement in there. If you go to a site for labor consultations, I actually had the thing, and it's you up there, and it talks about the 3 categories of certifying past practices, but you can look it up. The reality is, listen, these people in management, they're not supervisors. Let me explain something. In the law, there's a difference between a supervisor and a manager. Especially in unionized places, if you are the department head, you do not bargain the same way. You're management. And we all know managers can get 80-hour weeks. There's a different section. Now, police and fire, so people say, well, it's not, you got fundamentally managers, you got chiefs and officers and a fire. Fire and police are exempt by 150E from that clause with one exception. Everybody can be in a union up till deputy chief. Once you become the chief of a police or fire department, you can no longer be in the union. So the only person that is looked at as a true manager is the chief. And that's why nobody, including the deputy chiefs or the district chiefs, can dispense discipline in the police or fire departments legally. It has to be the chief. So the city, they love to mix, and you know that, CJ, you get to this. They love to mix apples and oranges, kumquats, avocados. You just
add
throw
a couple
it in.
Of rutabagas.
And anything they want, and then they'll use the law, they'll ignore the law, but it's all for a benefit. And I'm going to let you do that, because the problem here is, let's look at it realistically. You got 2 people here, the department head or the appointee, and the city. So your buddy from the city who just gave you the job now wants to give you a big fat pay raise and a whole bunch of benefits in your contract that nobody else has. And he goes to you and says, well, I want to offer you this in your contract. Are you going to say no? How ridiculous is that? That's not collective bargaining. What they're doing is giving everybody in this city that they're friendly to big pay raises. The rank and file does not get $19,000 pay raises, $16,000 pay raises, $20,000 pay. They got to fight for 1%. Yet we have people in this city that have a cost of living raise. That should not be in a contract. If you've got a salary, you shouldn't have a cost of living raise.
Now, that's interesting, because I remember in Mary Sahadi's contract, she specifically wrote into her contract a cost of living increase.
Yep.
Okay? No other contract has that. And that's my big complaint about these automatic pay raises. And I've spoken to city councils about it, and they've all heard the same thing, that there are automatic pay raises given every year to department heads and people who are on contract. And that is wrong.
Yeah.
That is wrong. If it's, you negotiate your contract. If you don't put it in your contract, that's your fault.
And you are 100% right, because that's the problem. You can't, I can't on a fire department say, well, you know, DCM just got $50 for shoveling snow, and we shovel snow in front of the, you know, every time they shovel snow, everybody gets $50. Well, I can't say, well, now you got to give me $50, or I got to get a extra percent because we shovel snow in front of the fire stations. Because somebody else gets it, your contract stands alone. Fire and police stand alone. The contract is the contract. Those people have been getting that. Now, to clarify, you said 3, but it's the cost of living. I think that's been clarified. Nobody should be getting a cost of living raise. I can tell you right now, and I'm done. You can take the rest of the time. Every single time I bargained, and I bargained for over 24 years with this city, the first demand I made at every time I sat at a table, I said, because the first thing you normally talk about is wage demands. So I would sit at a table, and the first thing I said was, I will forego any wage increase for the length of this contract, asking for any wage increase if you give me a cost of living clause. No. You know why? They don't want to give 250 firefighters, 300 cops, a whole bunch of people $5 a week by giving them a cost of living raise, but they'll give their friends all the money.
$19,000.
Because now it's only a few people, all their friends. That's why we get back to the New Bedford Standard Times. If you work for the city, work in New Bedford. If you're a department head or an administrator, work for the city of Fall River. Take it away, CJ.
Yeah, I've had this complaint for some time, and I remember Madeline talking about a cost of living increase, and we've been doing it for years, and it's something we do because we do it for other departments, and the unions get a pay raise, and why shouldn't these department heads get a pay raise? I've heard it. Why? Because they didn't negotiate it.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if that's the practice that the city wants to use, then why bother negotiating a contract? Just say, hey, your wages are going to go up by cost of living. Because let me tell you something, this year you're going to get a big raise.
Yeah, well, let me just add this. Nobody at a fire department, police department, DCM gets a cost of living raise. They don't get a raise. They get the raise that they negotiated for their contract. And that's all those people should get. You want a pay raise when your contract runs out, bargain for one.
Exactly. I mean, in the private sector, if I'm management and we're in the private sector and I hire other people who are management and they forget to put a cost of living increase in their contract, guess what? They're not getting one. They're not. It's not contracted for. I know when I've negotiated contracts for myself, the one thing I did put in there was pay raises. A lot of times they didn't want to do a cost of living increase, but they'd say they'd give me 5% or 10%, or they'd say what we'll do is performance bonuses, which was another thing that they like to do is performance bonuses. Keep the facility at 80% or more and we'll give you $2,000 or whatever the case may be. But this city is just throwing money away because it's not theirs. It's not theirs, so we might as well just spend it.
But they're being very targeted with the money they throw.
Exactly. It's my friends. Mm-hmm. It's my friends. And if you're not my friend, you're out of luck. If you're not my friend, you lose your job. If you're not my friend, you're under investigation. If you're not my friend. So it gets to be very interesting. But we know that things are tough right now for a lot of people. And I'm not being looked at very highly because I'm calling out this practice. And hey, it's our money. What can you do?
You're going to see a lot of cost of living raises getting yanked all over the country when they see what the cost of living they're going to get this year with Biden.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It's a pleasure to be back here. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a great day. We'll see you Wednesday.
Yeah.